And some of us, unfortunately, have to have a wake-up call like cancer, like a tumor, and like being paralyzed for God to shake us and wake us up. And when I was laying in the ICU, not knowing if I would walk again, thinking I was going to be in a wheelchair for the rest of my life, I realized that I thought I was playing song. I wasn't doing what fulfilled me at the core, and what fulfilled me at the core was the ocean and surfing and this life that I built for myself here, which makes it so beautiful you guys are here. I'll tell you guys that story later. But I moved to San Diego, and out of a whim, I threw our very first mastermind, and what it was 15 of us in a house. I couldn't afford the house, so 15 of us chipped in. We rented an Airbnb, big old mansion on the beach. It was like 400 guy, and 15 of us just all sat around the living room just like this, and we talked about life and dreams and the things that we all wanted to build. Jason was just a soul, he was the guy. He wasn't State 48. This is 4 years ago. He wasn't who he is today, and it's cool to see him come to what he's done. Jim spoke, and Eric Kelly spoke at that mastermind. And so this was just 2.5, 3 years ago, And so it was really cool. Eric was our very first speaker at the mastermind, and he has this beautiful approach to leadership and legacy. Well, that's not why he's speaking today. Let me tell you why he's speaking today. Eric, 90 days ago, called me up, and he goes, "Hey man, I want to write a book." I said, "That's fantastic. I will be on. Do you have one here?" So Eric called me up, and he goes, "I want to write a book. I know you can help me. I got a plane ticket. I'm coming to Coronado Island. We're going to write this bad boy. We're going to do it." And I said, "Okay, get on the plane. You got the guts to get on a plane, block off 3 days, and do big shit. I'm gonna love you out." We sat in that room with this whiteboard right here. And Eric, I brought this for you, bud. This is actually his book outline, literally right there on the
Yeah,
whiteboard.
baby.
How beautiful is that? His book outline is literally right there. And we started, as I tear the whole thing down.
I got it.
You don't need this, do you?
Yeah. Nah, we're good.
Can I see your book?
Yeah, man.
So, Eric, writing a book's not easy. Writing a book's tough. And I told him, sitting in that room, I said, "I'm going to mark my words. You got the balls, you got the learning wins on the way, all that through. But if you pull it off, this was 60 days ago, I go, you pull that off, you're a guest speaker at the 2024 Triumph Mastermind." And at that time, I said, just imagine walking on stage with everybody there saying, "Oh, this was just an idea 90 days ago, but I did it, and I'm holding it." How good would that feel? And so, man, that feel really, really good, but it's going to be a lot of work. It's going to take a lot of time, and you did it. So, guys, I'm proud to be holding a copy of the 100K Business Blueprint. So my kid wrote a book literally in 60 days or less. You're in San Diego. I started there, and without further ado, Mr. Eric Kelly.
Thank you, brother. Huh?
You want this?
Yeah.
Here you go, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm going to hand this to you.
Yeah.
Here you go.
How's everybody doing?
Great. Good.
Hey, we're going to talk about this at the end, so remind me, because I do have a gift for you guys. This is like a really sacred place for me, because as Nick stated, when we started this idea of the Triumphant Mastermind a few years ago, it was a handful of us. And where did Jason go? Yeah, for you and Heidi, man, like I remember the conversation about you wanting to do your own thing and the fear that came with that, and not knowing what was ahead and the uncertainty. And you did it, brother. And it's amazing to have seen that from inception to where you are today. Is it off? Yeah. Is that better? Yeah. Okay, there we go. So I just want to acknowledge you for that. And for Nikki, man, to have the conversations that we had about your dream and what you wanted to do, and see you take the leap of faith. And I know it's been an easy path. There haven't been any bumps in the road. Smooth sailing every single day, right? So I'm honored to share here today. How many people in this room are leaders? How come everybody's hand is not up when I ask that question? I'm going to encourage the people that didn't raise their hand to start looking at themselves a little bit differently in the mirror, because we're all leaders. How many people lead people in your company? How many would like a little more performance out of those people? Okay. How many of you know the 3 primary personal priorities that are motivating your people in the next 90 days of their life? How many of you know that? Couple? Yeah. Does that change your leadership conversations? So for anybody that didn't raise their hand, which is most of this room, I just want to share with you that we're in the human being business. That's what business is. We've had some conversations about selling. Some of the shares that we heard coming into this afternoon were powerful. I've already taken pages of notes. And it's great to learn all the sales strategies. But I'm going to tell you a secret about sales that I learned a long time ago. Selling is the transference of energy. Okay? When you think of energy, when we think of what's lighting up these lights in the room, what's the source of that energy? What do we call it? Electricity. How is electricity measured? Or current, right? Isn't current, electrical current, the way that that power is transferred or transmitted? You guys with me? What are we after in business? I mean, yeah, we want to make a difference. We want to make a contribution. We want to accomplish. We want to achieve our goals, all those things. And there's nothing wrong with any of those things. But what does business provide for us in our life?
Cash.
Money, right? What's another word for money?
Currency.
Currency. Do you think that's by chance that there's that kind of alignment between a transference of energy? So what we are is in the human relations business, and I teach a lot on real estate because that's the space that I've played in for a little over 2 decades now, and this applies to any business that you have. I wrote the book not just for real estate agents, I wrote it for entrepreneurs, I wrote it for small business owners, I wrote it for anybody that's in sales in any kind of business, because what I wanted people to understand was the more that you speak consumer and not realtor, or not solar sales guy, or not pool guy, right? The more you speak consumer and you create relatable experiences that reach them on a heart-centered level and not a head-centered level. Because any sales that we do in any area of life is an emotionally driven decision that's justified by logic on the back end. But most of us in business are going out with logic. We're either feature dumping, or we're market data pushing, or we're saying all these things that are all relevant and they're all true. It doesn't make us bad people, and our intentions are good. But one of the things that I've always said to my clients in real estate is, understand that my role is to help educate and inform you so that you're equipped to make empowered decisions. And I call that the pendulum script. And the reason is, if you say that with conviction and you master those words and you deliver them in exactly that order, what it does is it shifts it away from a sales conversation to now it's an advocacy conversation. Do you guys see the difference? And when you're an advocate, you have the opportunity to walk the journey with people to get from where they are to where they want to go. I'm going to share a few stories with you today. And a few of you that I have known for a little while, though there might be something that's familiar, I'm going to ask you to stay tuned into it, though, and listen with a little bit different lens today. And for those of you that haven't heard the stories before, we're just going to take a little journey over the period of about 10 years together, okay? And the overarching theme of this journey is going to be leadership, legacy, and the law of unconscious influence. Does that sound interesting to everybody?
Yeah.
A little bit?
Love it.
And so what I want to impress upon you with the stories and these few ideas is not what I'm going to share about my personal journey. Okay, that's just the catalyst. But what I want you to take away is the power of simple choices that you make, of key relationships that you nurture, and of honoring your commitment over an extended period of time and how that manifests down the road. How many people here have ever played the game of golf or attempted to do so? Okay. How many people have a less than perfect swing in the game of golf? Okay. So if you pull out the driver, does everybody know what the driver is? If you pull out the driver and you have an imperfect swing, are the results more horrific sometimes than if you had the same imperfect swing with a pitching wedge? Right? And the reason is the farther out you go, the more projected your result is, right? Are you guys getting that? It's a further distance down the road. And so that's the theme behind the stories that I'm going to share with you today. So what are we going to think about again? What are we looking for? They're all like, who is this guy and why is he here? I'm not getting this at all. I thought this was a sales conference. We're focusing on leadership, legacy, and the law of unconscious influence. But the key things that I want you to remember are, what are the choices I'm making? What are the relationships I'm nurturing? And what are the things that I'm remaining committed to? So in 2014, I did this crazy thing. Now think, what year are we in right now? 24. Okay, 2024, so a decade ago. And I woke up on the first morning of the year, and I was like agitated, like inspired, but just I couldn't sleep, and it was still dark outside. It was January 1st, 2014. And I always say I was spinning in my bed like a rotisserie chicken. And I was like, I got to get out of here. I'm just going to go outside and go for a walk. And I didn't know why, but I went for a walk, and I watched the sunrise, and I read this inspirational quote, and I sat there. I kind of meditated on that, what it meant. And I went home and I didn't think anything of it. And the next day, guess what happened? I woke up again and it was still dark. And I was feeling the same way. And I was like, man, there must be something to this. So I got up and I did it again. And the same thing happened the third day. So I got up and I did it again. Well, now I'm 3 days in and I'm like, hey, it's a brand new year. And what do we all do at the beginning of a new year? We set a goal. We set New Year's resolutions, right? The problem with resolutions is most of us don't put the revolutions behind the resolutions. Like, we're not out there getting it done. We're not committed to them as long as we should be. So long story short, I said, I'm going to do this for the first week, and that turned into the first month. And just inadvertently, I'd post a picture, like a little selfie silhouette and a couple pictures wherever I was, and the quote that I read that day. And I started doing this. Well, by the end of 31 days, some other people started to notice. And I was not, I mean, I know much better now. If I'd had these guys in my corner then, think of the following I could have had by now. But I wasn't doing it for attention specifically. It was kind of accountability for me. But it started to resonate with other people. So then I was reading this book, and it said 66 days was scientifically the average time to form a new habit. So I was like, I'm going to do it for 66 days. Building some momentum to start the year. And then I got to 66 days, and man, I was feeling good, and good things were happening in my life, and I was starting with such clarity, and I'm like, this is pretty cool. I think I'm going to do the first 100 days of the year. And that's where the problem happened, because somewhere between 66 days and 100 days, all these people started coming up to me saying, you're going to do this for the whole year, right? And I was like, heck no, I'm going to do this for the whole year. Who the hell would get up and watch the sunrise every single day for a year? I'm like, what have you ever done for 100 days in a row? Like, can't we just be good with that? But I did do it for the whole year. And it was one of the most incredible experiences of my life, the clarity that it brought me, but also the confidence that I could commit to something and continue to do it day after day after day after day and honor that commitment over a long period of time. Here's what happens as a result of that. This is where we're going to talk about the law of unconscious influence. How many people believe when you walk into a room, you maybe have one conversation, you're going through your day, your business day, the people that are around you, how many people that believe that you're influencing people everywhere you go, every minute of the day? Well, I firmly believe that, because what happened to me is a guy that used to work in my real estate office named Colin, who lives out here, called me in January of 2015. He's like, oh man, EK, I've been wanting to talk to you. He goes, you have no idea about this, but I went through a transformational year in my life last year. I lost over 100 pounds and I ran my first marathon. And I just want you to know that every day I was too sore, too tired, or didn't have the motivation to go do my workout. I told myself, if EK can get up and watch sunrise, I can go do my workout today. And he goes, you helped me change my life. Now think about that. I had no idea, right? But people are watching. And when we talk about the amazing stuff that we're learning here about branding and being our unique self and putting a presence out there and taking some risks and sharing with people what we do, that's the ripple effect of that. You're going to see how all this ties together in a minute. So I had done another pretty remarkable thing in my life. And that was I had managed to build my body up to where I was at least 100 pounds overweight. And I didn't have any particularly horrible habits. I was just sort of living life. And people would ask me about it and they're like, how does that happen? I'm like, it's pretty easy. You gain 5 pounds a year for 20 straight years. How many of you would notice if in the next month you gained less than half a pound on the scale? How many people would really be bent out of shape about that? No, but again, that's the accumulation over a long period of time. That's what happened. So at one point I was almost 320 pounds. And when Nick said, I'm gonna have this mastermind, he said, I want you to come out. You heard the story, we all got together. Well, there's this psycho fitness nut job crazy man there named Nate Palmer. Fuck that guy. Nate's a good friend of mine. I love that guy. I'm just messing. But we decided we're going to do a workout on the beach the second day of the mastermind. And as Nick does, he was shooting content. So there's drones flying around and video and all this stuff. Well, long story short, we're out there doing squats in the sand, right? And when I see the video after the event, I see this pan by me and I'm like, who is that round thing in the blue shirt that looks like a giant blueberry? And I was horrified about the way that I looked. I'm like, I'm round. And it hit me really hard. And Nick had been chirping in my ear for quite a while about, you need to do a 30-day challenge, dude. Just do a 30-day challenge. Just commit to a couple things and do a 30-day challenge. Do it day after day after day after day after day. And I finally said, all right, man, I'm gonna do it. Like I hit my breaking point and I said, I'm gonna go do it. So I started a 30-day challenge. My 3 commitments were I was gonna move my body every single day. My standard now is 30 minutes minimum. I'm not gonna drink any alcohol and at that time I was gonna follow a keto diet because I wanted to cut sugar, I wanted to cut carbs, talked to my doctor about it, did all the stuff. First 30 days, dropped 22 pounds. And then I just kept doing the 30-day challenge for 9 months and dropped 84 pounds. Thank you. So this is 2020. I also, by the way, had the best year business-wise that I've ever had in the real estate industry. I stacked some cash. It was good times. I was running a little too hard. I get to the front end of 21, remember the COVID stuff going on? During this same window, our buddy Colin was training for his 10th marathon. Remember the guy that did the first one in 2014? He's having all this pain. He goes to all these different doctors, finally is diagnosed with a grapefruit-sized tumor on his right femur. So he has surgery, he has titanium here, titanium hip, took out half his glute, which made for some funny jokes for all of us. He's gone through this whole process. And in December, he called me and he says, hey man, I got my scans back. Cancer's metastasized to my lungs. And his goal was to do his 10th marathon. And he said, I don't care what I have to do. I'm gonna finish my 10th. And I said, well, if you're coming to Arizona, I'm gonna do it with you. Guess how many marathons I had done in my life before? 0. Guess how many marathons I'd trained for at that time? 0. Guess how much desire I had to do a marathon? 0. But what you do for the people that matter most in your life, right? You do what needs to be done. So because of COVID, they canceled the marathon. They canceled it. But the route was public knowledge, and he said, I'm still coming. So Colin and I and a couple friends went out, and we walked 28 miles that day. And finished his 10th marathon. Three weeks later, I'm sitting in my office. I was a little under the weather. And I was on a Zoom because we couldn't meet anybody in person back then. And the left side of my face started to feel kind of tingly and weird. My ears were kind of clogged. I was like, man, I don't feel good. I started canceling some appointments. I'm like, I'm going to go home and rest. And I went and got in the car. I started driving home. My left arm started feeling kind of numb. Drive about 15 minutes, get off the freeway. About halfway between the exit and my house was an urgent care or emergency room. By the time I get there, I'm numb from the top of my head to my toes on the left side. And I'm also thinking, I don't have time for this. It's probably nothing. I'm just going to go home and lay down for a little bit. So I walk in the ER, and I will tell you, if you ever want to fast track an ER, if you walk in and say, my whole left side is numb, they don't ask for your insurance card, you don't fill out any paperwork, they come out and greet you, like a whole bunch of them. And so I go in, and I had amazing medical care, and it started there. They transported me from there to the stroke center because I had what's called a TIA, or a transischemic attack, which basically means a blood clot forms, it goes to your brain, and if I think what happened is absolutely miraculous, and I think I had great medical care, and I think that was the difference. But what I know for sure, because I was over 300 pounds, I think it would have been a very different outcome. That's what I know for sure. So I'm pleased to report, obviously, things worked out okay. But as I'm laying in the ambulance, there were three things that I was thinking about. My children, the people I loved, and what was left undone. And it's really easy in business and in life to get caught up in what we're striving for and what we're working on and serving the needs of all these other people, especially when we're out chasing clients in business all the time, isn't it? But what's really most important is those relationships that we have with the people that matter most to us and the experiences that are really a priority for our personal life. And so as you have some time to sit and think today, one of the questions I would like you to consider is what is left undone for you? And I hope you don't have to walk to the edge and think, this might be it, to feel inspired to do it. But I can tell you that I organized my life a lot differently after that day. Those types of experiences are things that all of the clients and customers we serve are going through every single year, every day, every month, every week. They have all the same fears that we do. And I think we have to have a heart of contribution, but we also have to have an ability to relate to people more as a human being. A couple months ago, I heard Gary Vee. You guys all know Gary Vee? You watch his stuff? I heard Gary Vee say, the more our world becomes like the Jetsons, the more we all need to act like the Flintstones. And I was like, wow, man, virtual knucks for you on that. Because I'm a believer in old school. I like personal notes. I like showing up for friends when they need it. Like, that's how you build relationships with people. You care about the stuff that they care about. And the more we do that, I can attest that my business has sustained over time so much more from the things that I've done for people to invest in relationships and make contributions to them that had nothing to do with real estate. Whatever you're selling, whatever your business is, that's the frosting. That's not the cake. The cake is in the connection. So figuring out how we can build deeper connection with people, especially with the people that work with us, I believe is the way that you can propel your company forward, and you can create the kind of experience where people don't ever want to leave that. Because you're creating a culture of contribution, you're creating a culture of caring. I haven't put this in the book yet, but it's going to go in there, and I'm going to share it with you because nobody's ever heard it before. So, but we have an acronym that we're trademarking. So hopefully we're not in a lawsuit from somebody that heard this here. I'm just joking. It's not that kind of room. But the idea behind the acronym CARE is connection through curiosity, like having a genuine interest in people and slowing down enough to really listen to them. Asking and affirming, so you're asking more insightful questions and you're affirming and acknowledging the answers that they're giving to you. You're relating and reaffirming, or being a resource to them. That's what the R's are in the acronym, is being a resource. Find out where it is that they want to go and just find a way to help them get there. And then the E is for the experience. What is the experience of being around you? How do you make people feel? Right? What do you contribute to them? Are you fun or are you too serious all the time? I've been on both ends of that spectrum. I used to be way more fun than I am now, but I've also been too serious. So I'm trying to keep it right in the middle now. Luke and I were talking outside a few minutes ago, and he asked me about legacy. So I'm going to talk about this for a minute, and then we'll share about the book, and then we'll wrap up so we can go enjoy this beautiful San Diego sunshine that we all came for. I started this journey with legacy almost 20 years ago. My dad passed away at 64 from lung disease. The question on his mind the last week of his life was, did I matter? Did I matter? Did it make any difference that I was even here? And that was incredibly painful for me in the moment, because I'm like, how could he wonder that? He has a family, he has children, he has grandchildren. He was very invested in the community where I lived. People knew my dad. I'm like, how could he wonder that? He was so loved. But what I realized over time is that the question really was rooted in his own fulfillment and satisfaction with his life and the life that he had lived. And as I've talked to people about legacy for many, many years now, what I find is most people have an idea about legacy, which is something I'm going to create, I'm going to accomplish, I'm going to have a monument, I'm going to own all these assets, I'm going to build these stacks of cash, I'm going to have all this stuff that I can leave to my heirs. And my belief about legacy is not something you leave, it is something you live. What do you want to be remembered for? What are the experiences that you want to share with the people that you love? Not after you're gone. What do you want to do right now? What do you want to do next year? And when you create a legacy vision for your life of what that looks and feels like for you, then you have an opportunity to start stepping in that direction today. You can start living that today. And to me, the greatest legacy that we can leave is one that we lived, that brings us fulfillment, us satisfaction, us peace when we get to our final day, so that we know in our heart our life had deep meaning. And that's really what we're all here for. So I would encourage you to think about what does that look like for you, and get really clear about it. If you need some guidance on that, I know a guy. And as you define that, start taking steps every single day to go live into your version of your legacy.
Amen.
So let's talk about this for a minute. I'm going to read you, I'm just going to close with this. And I'm going to read you the introduction that explains the book a little bit. If you go to 100kbusinessblueprint.com, 100kbusinessblueprint.com, I'll send it to Nikki. He can send it out to all of you guys. We'll send a code too. If you put in the code EK100, we'll send you a free copy of the book when it comes out next month. So these are just pre-copies. But we'll send it out to you. Nick and I sat right over here with that whiteboard. And he looked at me and he said, "Why are you writing this book?" And here was my answer to that question. It's the preface for the book, so I'm just going to read it to you guys today. My intention in dedicating the focus, time, and energy to create this book is to have a meaningful impact in your life. I believe we live in a world where the power of collaboration creates an infinite ripple effect of positive progression. My purpose is to share over 2 decades of my own industry experience to help others get going or get growing, and ultimately accelerate their success on their chosen path. This is a way for me to contribute and to pay tribute to the profession that has given me opportunities to grow professionally and personally in intentional, desired, and unexpected ways. Entrepreneurship has created a common space of connection with clients who've become friends, as well as with peers who have profoundly influenced and inspired me in life. It is an amazing honor to be the trusted advisor to people you enjoy being with and respect. It is also a humbling experience to have those same people want to contribute to your life and help you grow. I believe that I am highly favored and immeasurably blessed. The pages that follow are my best ever to share that same feeling with you. My hope is that you will finish this book with an expanded perspective, a clearer understanding, and a deeper sense of how much the world needs you to succeed. You to succeed. Your unique fingerprints in fulfilling the practice of timeless truths are what differentiates you, your business, and your impact. And you stepping confidently into that leadership role has never been needed more. As you complete the steps outlined here, you'll find a clearer vision with purposeful priorities and a roadmap to truly create the life of your dreams. I'm excited to share this journey with you. Embrace it fully. Give yourself the gift of investing in you, believing in you, and becoming the you that will inspire pride a month from now, a year from now, and when you reflect on the legacy of your life's work. Here's to achieving success together. Cheers.
Amen.